Iqbal says that there is a secret in La ilaha illallah. And there's the kind of classical, the Islamic traditional reading of La ilaha illallah. And there's how he takes that Islamic traditional reading and he applies it to the modern context. La ilaha illallah is divided into two parts. There's a La ilaha and illallah. There's negation and affirmation. And the negation part of it is first to vehemently deny the existence of anything that is an ilah. And an ilah, right, a god, is not just what you worship in the church or the temple or the masjid, wherever, right? An ilah, at its core, is what you love more than anything else. How do we know this? The first ayah that we quoted, right?
Well,
that was
worship
one of them.
is the highest form of love.
It is very much, right? In fact, we use that in English as well, right? He worshipped her, meaning he loved her to a point that she was the highest of all of his loves.
Yeah.
Right? There's an ayah in the Quran as well that's very instructive in this. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you seen the one who has taken his own desires to be his God? Right? When you say La ilaha, the first thing you are doing is you are negating love of any and all things. And then you are replacing it with illallah, except for Allah. That the highest love of all Muslims has to be for Allah. That negation, right, is first and foremost of one's own love for one's own self. Not in a sense of degrading yourself, but in recognizing that anything that in myself that I feel that draws me away from the love of Allah, that has to be something that's not something that I affirm. That has to be something that I challenge. And this actually, Iqbal says that this is the highest form of freedom. Because when you think about it, right, Iqbal has this really, really, really powerful couplet in one of his Urdu poems, which is titled La ilaha illallah. He says, Ye daur apne barahim ki tarash mein hai. Sanam kada hai jahan la ilaha illallah. Which means that this age is in search for its Ibrahim. This age, this era, is in search for its Ibrahim. Because the world has become a pantheon. A pantheon is where you put all the gods and worship them. The world has become a pantheon, La ilaha illallah. What do you think he's referencing when he talks about Ibrahim and pantheon?
Your hawa, your desire. The world has become commercial.
What story in the Quran is he referencing when he talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam?
The one where he strikes the idols?
Exactly, right?
Okay.
It's the idea of Ibrahim alayhi salam going and striking the idols that are being worshipped, right? To show the stupidity of the idea of worshipping these idols. But Iqbal, there's in the Islamic poetic tradition, the usage of that story is very common in the meaning of desires, exactly as you said, right? That you have these desires in yourself, right? And you have to break them in order to ascend to the love of Allah. But that's not what Iqbal is saying. Iqbal is not saying that the idols just exist here. He says the world has become a pantheon. Okay? Why is it that Iqbal says the world has become a pantheon? It has a lot to do with the world economic system. And it has a lot to do with the way that the world's philosophical systems enable and empower the economic systems in such a way that it leads us to enslave ourselves to them.
Can you explain?
The world economic system is built entirely by commodifying our own desires for us. The best example of this, right, is probably alcohol and pornography. Both of these are multi-billion-dollar industries in America. And what happens is that people become addicted to these pleasures. They become addicted to alcohol, and now pornography addiction as well is very well documented as well, right? And what this is doing is that these shahawat, these desires exist within us, but these desires can't actually be realized without externality, without something that exists outside of us, right? I can't drink in my mind. I can't close my eyes and be like, I'm drinking, and then, oh, I'm drunk, right? I have to have some drink in order to get drunk, right? And pornography kind of functions in the same way. We're not going to talk about the mechanics of it because that's kind of obscene. What's happening is somebody else has to sell that to us. So once what I want exists outside of me, and I have to purchase it, I have made myself, through my own desire, through my own worship of my own desire, I've made myself subservient to the person who's going to sell it to me. So you have the philosophical system, which is a system of enabling of desire, of saying that anything is permitted as long as it doesn't harm somebody else. Right? You have that philosophical system, which ties into the economic system. The economic system, which manufactures, packages, and sells you your desire to yourself. And you, as a human being who is worshiping themselves, then has to purchase their own gods from someone else to worship. You see how that works?
Yeah.
How do you break all this? La ilaha illallah.
Hey, salam everyone. I'm excited to tell you guys about this amazing new group called Muslim Professionals, founded by a successful Muslim businessman. This is a free community connecting over 4,000 Muslims across the United States, working in places like Google, Microsoft, and Spotify. They're looking to connect people online and offline to work together, whether that's help finding a new gig, exchanging business ideas, forming partnerships, investing, or just making new friends. It's completely free to join. Just apply at muslimprofessionals.com. Let's grow together, win together.
We miss one of the most important things when we talk about the purpose of the Sharia. There are so many discussions about purpose of Sharia, purpose of Sharia, purpose of Sharia. And everybody wants to, like sometimes, forgive me for making a kind of very blunt analogy on this. We sometimes imagine God as a Wikipedia God. And what I mean by that is, it's like, as if, take khinzir, right? Pig, eating pig. Or drinking wine. We're like, God was on Wikipedia one day, and he saw the effects of inebriation, and he said, oh my God, this is so bad for human beings, I should ban it. And so then the purpose of law becomes, to stop intoxication, because intoxication is bad for people. This way of thinking about Sharia is degrading of God, because God doesn't find out that these bad things exist for human beings. God creates the effect of inebriation. If God wanted to create a world in which intoxication wasn't harmful for human beings, he could have created that world. What's the proof of that? In Jannah there's going to be wine, but in Jannah there's not going to be any drunkenness. God is not a Wikipedia God. God is a creator God. And the purpose of the Sharia is not to find out what's bad for human beings and ban it. The purpose of Sharia is for the human being to know what he worships more than Allah. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the taste of the pleasures of the world, some of us become addicted to some of those pleasures. Lust.
Most of us.
Well, most of us become addicted to those pleasures of this world. Lust. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the permission to marry. In fact, it's sunnah to marry. For some people, right, the marriage comes into all the different categories of all the way from wujub to tahrim.
Yeah. Sometimes marriage becomes fard on you.
Exactly. So for some people, bro, I know some people, it is wajib on them to get married.
Obligatory.
100% wajib on them. It's like, bro, you need to get married. You know what I mean? But for some people, that fulfillment of lust is not enough for them, right? What's available to them halal wise is not enough for them. They feel like they need to go more than that because they can't control the desire of it, right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes zina haram, when He makes certain sexual acts haram, what He forces the human being is a confrontation in themselves. That human being now has to sit with two loves. The love of Allah and the love of the bodily pleasure. And those two go to war with each other. The war is the point. The fight to see which one dominates is the entire point of the Sharia. It's to force you to come face to face with the realities of things that you love more than Allah. And then with your mind to say to yourself, I will not love anything more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to force yourself to go into war with yourself. This only happens when you say La ilaha illallah with your heart. Once you have broken all of the idols that exist in yourself, the things you love more than Allah, no one can have any control over you. No one can sell you your own idols. No one can incentivize you into a system that is meant to, the modern systems of control, they're insidious. They're sinister. Gone are the days in which you were whipped until you did whatever the king wanted. Now you are bribed. You're bribed with money. You're bribed with pleasure. You're bribed to turn yourself into a willing servant.
You're deluded into it.
Very much, right? This is mata'al ghurur, right? You are bribed into making yourself someone who is going to be subservient to the order, uphold the order, because you're getting pleasure out of it.
Yeah, it's like, why whip you when I can just build a stadium and send you to a football game?
Exactly, right? But once you have said La ilaha illallah, and you've broken your own pleasure's hold over yourself, now you can look at the world and see the idols in it, and you can break those idols as well. And that is the kind of like the root fundamental element of freedom in Iqbalian thought, is that freedom is not just freedom to do whatever you want to. It's the freedom from your own self having control over yourself.